Are you looking for the next Zelda-inspired game? If you answered yes, check out my review of Garden Story, coming up next on Mumbles. Ooh! Hi everyone, Mumbles here. If you know my channel for a while, you know that I'm a huge fan of The Legend of Zelda. And especially the old-style games, they hold a special place in my heart. Recently, we've seen games that have come up that have taken that formula and done something a little bit different with it, or added onto it in some way, or in some cases even copied the formula that is Legend of Zelda. Well, on today's episode of Mumbles, I'm bringing you a game that does just that. Today we review Garden Story. We're going to first start with a brief description of this game. Unify a community as newly appointed guardian of the grove. Traverse a vibrant island of combative, intensive rot. Inspire its inhabitants and rebuild your home. You wanted to do this alone. Fruity friends await, ready to lend a hand. Concord, the youngest grape in the grove, is now a guardian, and it's their job to help restore the island. That's a lot on the soldiers for a grape barely off the vine. And more than a few inhabitants are skeptical they have what it takes. Fortunately, Concord has friends like Elderberry, Rana, and Fuji on their side. With their help, you can take on the dangerous rot and find ways to encourage other residents to assist in efforts. At the time of this review, this game is available for PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo Switch for $19.99. So that is all the basic information. We now move on to the gameplay section where we get into the nitty-gritty of things. But before I do that, I do have to ask, please subscribe to MumblesVideos. And thank you guys all so much for the support. You're amazing. On to the gameplay section. So moving on into the gameplay section. Gameplay-wise, this game clearly drew a lot of inspiration from previous Legend of Zelda games and Zelda-type games. In this game, you play as Little Grape in a world where rot is slowly destroying plants everywhere. It is up to you to help keep these plants from being destroyed. To do that, it's not just some adventure you go off where you have to go through a bunch of different dungeons. No, instead you have to actually care for the places that you live in. Each day you will be presented with various tasks that you can do for the town to help the town grow and to help the town survive. These things can be anything from destroying monsters to collecting things to doing various different little tasks for the members of this town. And as you do, you will see the effects that it has in this town in helping them to become stronger and flourish. After you tackle those dungeons and beat those bosses, you will be tasked with going to the next town. And at this next town, you can expect pretty much the same thing, helping the citizens of the town, helping the town flourish, and along the way, also upgrading your Little Grape with various different weapons and skills that he can learn. Now, as you do that, you will learn that only certain monsters can be beat by certain items. So it is important that you get your Little Grape upgraded. And that's pretty much what the game is. You go on and you do this over and over again until you're done with the game. So we do now come to the con section, and the first con is that there is a difficulty spike when you go to that first boss. The difficulty spike, I mention it here because it is quite significant. Whereas before, you fight a few enemies here and there, you swipe your sword a few times and they fall. When you get to the boss, things just go off the rails very quickly and you learn, oh my gosh, why is this so difficult? Why wasn't I prepared for this? You kind of just have to work your way through that boss. The second con is that the inventory management can be rather difficult to manage in this game. You have a rather small inventory when it comes to picking up items and things, so you might find yourself having an inventory that is completely full before you want it to be. And the third con for this game is that there is a bit of repetitiveness to this game. You beat a boss, you go to the next town. You beat that next boss, you go to the next town. And so on and so forth until you beat the game. And for some people, they might not like the repetitiveness that provides. So that leads us now to the score section. I have to say, Garden Story is a cute little fantastic game that I really enjoyed playing. As I said, I do love these Zelda-type games, but this one took the idea of Legend of Zelda and it made it into its own thing. It made it into its own story. It kind of combined some different elements into it with taking care of the town and this cute, colorful cast that it gives you. And it made it its own thing, and I really like that they did that. Beyond that, I like the way that the game plays. I like the way that the combat is. I like the way that the story goes. And as a result, I'm going to reward this game on today's episode of Mumbles with a 7 out of 10 from me. So anyways, guys, this has been my review of Garden Story. I hope you guys all enjoyed this. Please smack the subscribe button, smack the like button, and smack all those buttons. And And I'll see you guys all in the next video. Bye everyone, take care.